You step into stone that remembers other feet. The inner courtyard gate closes behind you with a note of finality, a heavy seal, stone rubbing stone, breath held. The records say 6 monks entered that night. The registry lists 5 names. Bloodless handprints mark the walls, pale against dark granite. Footprints overlap where no one should have stood. At the center of the courtyard, you roll your shoulders like a man waking from a long, precise dream. From the darkness, a voice says, "If you exist, prove it," and you do. You have no rank. There are no embroidered sleeves to betray lineage, no carved name on the registry's wooden slat to anchor you in history. In the compound's strict accounting, you are an omission, trained, noticed once, then not noted. Still, the gates close, and the inner courtyard receives you. The stone underfoot is cool and even. Lantern light throws long blades of shadow. 6 monks step forward, not from either memory or rumor, but like trained strokes in a practiced painting. They represent perfected styles: tiger, crane, snake, dragon, leopard, mantis. Each stance is an answer to a question you weren't asked. They form a circle, ritual in its geometry. One of them speaks with the calm of those who have been taught to judge. "You were trained," he says, "but never counted." It's a declaration, more than a question. You take your stance the way someone takes up a pen or a blade. The assault begins with clarity. Tiger's force knocks like a hammer. Crane drops from above with economy. Snake slides beneath with a deceptive silence. They are textbook power, elevation, deception. You do not meet them with the same curricula. You don't mimic. You unmake rhythm. A redirected elbow collapses a line of attack. A mistimed step sends 2 bodies colliding like a poorly rehearsed duet. A sudden, almost imperceptible pause causes a strike to miss by inches. Then stone scrapes, robes snap, breath becomes measurement. 1 monk hits the ground, stunned, not broken. The low mutter runs through the circle, improvised. It is a word that contains both accusation and curiosity. You move like someone who has been practiced in improvisation, who learned to answer not with a copy of a form, but with a correction tuned to whatever arrives. You are present to fact, not to pattern. They close in. The circle tightens like a thought that will not stop. They begin to pair, their movements speaking to an idea they perfected in rehearsal. 2 to 1, pressure that doesn't relent. Every form you face is official. Every counter you craft is not recorded on any tablet. Your arms take hits with the indifference of someone who knows pain is part of work. A spinning kick drops dragon. A knee halts leopard mid-charge. The heavy rhythm of breathing turns audible, framed by the click of knuckles on stone. Crane demands, sharp with the urgency of doctrinal discomfort, "Where did you learn this?" There is a kind of hunger in the question, for origin, for authority. You do not answer. The silence is a tool. Now you see what the encounter is. The courtyard bears the marks of combat, dust rubbed into the grooves of stone, a smear that looks like a palm but stains nothing. Yet something else is wrong. No elders watch from above. No scribes record this tableau in neat ink. The gate beyond the lanterns remains shut, like an exclamation point. This is not a trial. It is a correction, an afterthought administered by those who carry institutional memory and fear deviations. "Tonight, we finish it," Snake says, circling like a question mark. There are intimations of erasure in his voice. You straighten. The confession you issue is short, practical. "I was never written down." It is not a plea, it is a fact. What follows is a logic. If you were never written down, you are easier to remove from the ledger of existence. You stop defending. The shift is quiet but immediate. It is not a rush, it is inevitability, like a tide that was always going to turn and finally does. You advance not with anger, but with the implacable certainty of someone who has made peace with being counted then uncounted. Interruptions occur before attacks fully form. You step into strikes before their power builds. You force hesitation where confidence used to stand like an arc. Mantis falters, taken down with a joint lock so precise it resembles care rather than cruelty. Leopard crashes into stone, breath stolen by an economy of movement. Only 3 stand now. Their styles begin to crack under the pressure of adaptation. Formality bends. The perfect forms are less capable of answering a body that does not play by recorded rules. You exploit gaps they cannot see because they were taught to look elsewhere. They attempt to reclaim coherence by attacking as one. Tiger, crane, snake, force, precision, speed converge into a single, furious argument. The courtyard erupts, feet pounding like distant drums, arms blurring into anonymous shapes, momentum collapsing into violence that is contained by training. You get struck hard. The world tilts, stone kisses bone, breath is expelled. You rise immediately. No fury, no speech, just function. One clean sequence ends the argument. A sweep that rewrites balance, a strike that reallocates energy, a final redirection that leaves three bodies prone. They fall like statements refuted in court. The silence that follows is thick, filled with traitorous questions and the honest breathing of the survivors. The gates open. Elders enter with the slow, judging gait of those who are accustomed to ordering reality. They survey the bodies, then turn to you. One elder frowns, counting with practiced annoyance. There should be 6 opponents. You nod. There were. He flips to the registry tablet again. 5 names remain. The ledger stubbornly refuses to accept what your body just proved. Then who are you? The elder asks. The question a device used to locate origin, to bind a person to a lineage, to make the anomaly disposable. You step past them, the lantern light catching at your jaw. I am the mistake that worked, you say. The words land like a coin in a well. Final, metallic, improbable. They are not plea or boast. As you exit the courtyard, scribes hurry after you with ink and reed. They add a 6th name to the registry like veterinarians stamping a newly born creature into existence. The ink bleeds strangely, uneven and unstable, as if the material record resists being altered to match the body's testimony. By morning, that extra name has faded. The elders nod, the monks heel, and the courtyard returns to its habitual silence. Footprints are swept or blurred into the stone's memory. Bloodless prints remain as odd, pale fingerprints of an impossible night. And you leave. You are never summoned again. The implication is cold. When the institution decides how much of a person must exist to deserve recognition, the result is not always justice. Sometimes survival reads like an error to be corrected. Sometimes correction fails. What does this mean for you, watching or listening now? There's a human truth beneath the martial choreography. Institutions measure existence in names and signatures. You can be trained, competent, even indispensable, and still be omitted by systems that prefer tidy lists to messy truth. The monk's improvisation in combat is a quiet argument for adaptability over formality, for presence over pedigree. The elder's attempt to erase what was inconvenient is an argument for how power handles anomalies. Either it integrates them by changing the ledger, or it attempts to rewrite memory until the anomaly disappears. You can relate to this without ever stepping into a courtyard. Maybe you've been the person who did the work but didn't get the credit. Maybe you learned a way of moving, thinking, or responding that the official guides do not endorse. Maybe an organization you trusted tried to fold you out of the picture because you did not fit a box. You walk through it and find the echo of a name that cannot hold. The ink fades, the footprints remain. The lesson is less about victory and more about what acknowledgement costs. It asks you to consider how you count people, by paperwork, by outcome, or by the ineffable fact of presence. If you exist, prove it. Sometimes proving it is a single, inevitable movement.